الإمام النووي وصف الإمام النووي الصوفية في أذكاره. So in the famous book Al-Adhkar, Imam al-Nawawi spoke about the Sufis. السادة الأجلة من صفوة هذه الأمة أهل تربية السالكين وتأديب المربين. So he said that they were the sada of this ummah. You know, they're the highest group. Al-Ajilla, these majestic masters. Min safwati hadid ummah, from the best of this ummah. Ahli tarbiyat as-sadiqeen, they're the people that help people on the path to God by getting better. With ta'deeb al-murabbin, and they discipline the souls of others with their insight. Now this has to be understood in the context because this is a contested term. Sufism, tasawwuf, is a contested term. Sufism is not what you see in many countries in the Muslim world today. In fact, the Sufis would be the first people to reject them. Imam al-Ghazali, in his book, At-Tabyin, he wrote a small treatise called At-Tabyin, elucidating the fact that the vast majority of creation is completely deluded. And when he gets to the last section, he says, the Sufis. And he said, and how great is their delusion? He said, they're deluded in their dress. They're deluded in the way they talk. They're deluded in their thinking that they're the elite of God and the elect. So remember that many of the people that were part of this tradition, they were great critics. And they also, some of them say that the Sufiya and the Mutasawwifa are different. Some use these terms technically. The Mutasawwifa are the people that pretend to be Sufis. And in fact, they have a term in the tradition called the Mutamawit. The Mutamawit is somebody who's he's acting like a spiritual person because he thinks this is how a spiritual person should be. And so he's pretending to be dead. In other words, like his ego is dead. And he has certain qualities. He's very hushed. But he's meanwhile like tricking and doing all these things to... So one of the Mauritanians said, عاش بها القوم بخير عيشة فصيرت من بعدهم معيشة يدعى الذي يمشي عليه السالك والسالكوها اليوم حزب هالك. That عاش بها القوم, you know, the qawm, these are the qawm, the Sufiya. They were called the qawm. هم القوم لا يشقى بهم جليسهم. They're the people, because when the angels found the circle of dhikr, they said there was one person, he wasn't from them, but he was sitting with them. He said, and Allah says to the angels, هم القوم لا يشقى بهم جليسهم. They're the people that even if you sit with them, you're in a good state. So he says that these are people that عاش بها القوم بخير عيشة فصيرت من بعدهم معيشة, but it became a means of getting livelihood after that. It became a means of, you know, selling talismans and doing these things, like, and the Pir Sahib who, you know, gets the poor people and convinces them, you know, that support me and all your ailments will go away and I'm going to get jinn out of you. I can see there's a jinni in you, and just give me 5 minutes and I'll, you know, do some mumbo jumbo and it'll all go away. There's a lot of this in our ummah, right? Seriously. And so we can't be naive about these things. I mean, there was one person that, you know, came to our area and he made all these claims. That's what the first thing. If they make claims, big red flag. That's the first thing. If they tell you, like, somebody came to me and said, I've got this person in our city, he doesn't pray Jummah at the masjid. You know, he came from, I won't name the country, and he says he prays Jummah with the Prophet ﷺ at his house, right? You know, and a lot of people were like really taking this man seriously. And I just said, you know, he's a kadhab, just a liar. Don't believe him. The Prophet ﷺ, first of all, I don't think he'd be praying in England Jummah. Most of the fuqaha say Jum'ah doesn't even apply in foreign countries without an imam, because that's one of the conditions to establish Jum'ah. I mean, Shaykh Sa'id Ramadan used to pray Jum'ah and then pray Dhuhr afterwards, because they didn't consider the Jum'ah valid in Syria. People don't know that, because there was no legitimate government by Sharia, right? So, yeah, anyway, and I don't have a problem telling people that. I don't believe that. You know, I had somebody come to me, you know, we do this dhikr on Thursdays, and this one guy, every day he said the Prophet's in the circle, and he comes to him in his dreams, and he tells them what dhikrs they should do. You know, and for me, that's just red flags all over the place. I don't want anything to do with those people. I'm telling you the truth. These are people that, you know, the people that I knew never talked about any of those things. Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, somebody asked him, he actually once said, you know, that he didn't want to see the Prophet in a dream because he would be so ashamed. Like, who am I to see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You know, that's the people I knew. Sifadul al-Huwari, Habib Ahmed Mashhur al-Haddad. These people were people of no claims. No claims. So people that do that tell you, oh, I saw the Prophet and I saw this and that. Now people can genuinely see the Prophet, and we're going to get to that inshallah, I think. And there can be a bushra in that. But if you do see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, keep that to yourself. That's my advice. It's a very special thing, and you should just keep it to yourself. If you want to share it with somebody very special that it has to do with them, or you want to tell somebody that might know something about dream interpretation, that's another thing. But I would not put that on Facebook. You know, and if you hear a sheikh saying, I saw the Prophet and he said support Sisi or something like that, and then no, I'm sorry. You know.